Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a soft spoken audio, and I hope it turns out to be soft spoken and not just regular talking, but we shall see. The last few days I've been immersed in my thoughts. My mind has almost taken over. That's how it feels. So I've been unable to experience the present moment, and partly due to that was that I recently caught a cold, and I think often when you are feeling physically unwell, that can also absorb a lot of your attention, and so maybe partly because of that as well. And I wanted to also mention that at some point I would like to record another ASMR audio based on my life, just a little bit about my life, as I feel this may help build a little bit of a connection, as I want this to be almost like a community where we are all on this path together to be at peace, to experience who we are. And I feel this may help, although it has little importance, but I feel initially it may just help knowing a few things about my background, and I had the urge to want to share that as well. So at some point soon maybe I will perhaps record that audio, and if you feel comfortable, feel free to share something about your background in the comments, and just of course be aware about your privacy as well. It's great to connect and to share about ourselves, but just have that in mind. Okay, so moving on to today's audio, I wanted to pick up from my last upload where we talked a little bit about the present moment, and in my own words I tried to describe what that present moment is. And today I hope we can all experience the present moment together, because this is the essence of this practice. And again, practice is not the right word. There is no right word to use, but for us to communicate, I will use the word practice. But a lot of what I've been pointing to when I've been mentioning the present moment, or I've used the word stillness or presence, is your natural state. So, in a sense, you're not actually doing anything, or you're not doing anything. So nothing is being done, and nothing is being undone. We are simply allowing this natural state of being to arise within us. So today I will start off with a pointer that Eckhart Tolle uses, and if you've not heard that name before, Eckhart Tolle teaches, he probably doesn't use the word teach, but he guides, maybe a bit better word, people to live this lifestyle or live your true self. So he practices this in every moment. And I recommend, if you want to learn more about that, he has books and he has YouTube videos you can search as well. And in my last audio, I left a little link in the description where another spiritual teacher called Muji, he invites you into the present moment, and I left that there to see, for you to experience, because I personally feel that's the best way to experience the present moment, through spiritual teachers such as Eckhart Tolle or Muji. Of course, I will be giving you some pointers myself, but I am just beginning this journey or this practice, so we are all together learning and experiencing, and I feel it's best to go directly to an experienced teacher. Okay, so the exercise Eckhart Tolle used, let me just get a bit comfortable. He also refers to this as a portal, as a doorway into becoming present. So, for example, like the last few days, I have been in a state of thought, deep thinking, fantasy. I've been daydreaming an awful lot. And again, some of that may have been down to me not feeling too well. But we could all relate to a time where we've just been immersed in thoughts. Our mind has been racing, and some awareness is there of that, where we want to drop the thoughts or we want to step out of thinking. So this is simply one portal to access the present moment. There are many different ways of accessing the present moment, but for the time being, I shall introduce you to this one. And the portal is your inner body. So, what does that mean? It means that you use your attention, which is a vital tool, your attention, and you direct it to your inner body. And Eckhart uses the hands. He mentions that the hands are an easy access point to the present moment, and then you can, of course, let that spread to the rest of your inner body. So, if you're able to do this exercise, you're in a place that you feel comfortable to do so, then please join me. Or, of course, you can continue to listen and perhaps try this exercise later. So, I'm sat cross-legged on a floor at the moment, so you can do this standing up or sitting down, whatever you prefer. Or, of course, if you're going out for a walk while listening, you can, of course, do this as well. So what I'd like you to do, which is to place your hand in front of you and to close your eyes and direct your attention to your hand, and immediately you may feel a slight tingling on the hand or some sensation. Now I'm going to ask you a question. How do you know your hand exists if your eyes are closed? There's a sensation, a tingling sensation perhaps. Now just let your attention sink into that sensation just for a few moments. The sensation may increase or stay the same. For me, the sensation increased as my attention remained on my hand. And what this is designed to do is to draw all of your attention to a sensation, meaning it cuts off thoughts. If your attention is on a certain sensation, then thinking becomes very difficult to do those two things at once. So if there comes a time where you're overwhelmed with thinking, this can perhaps be an exercise to help direct your attention to what is happening now. So Eckhart Tolle mentions this is a portal to presence, meaning the sensation in your hand is simply an entry point into the present moment. So we got to the stage of feeling the tingling sensations, but if we were to remain there, your attention will deepen. And what will arise is peace. And I define peace as no thinking. There is no noise of thinking. There is no movement of thinking. No disturbances of thinking. There is simply a stillness of being aware. And that awareness was sparked by the sensations in our hand. And of course, that would spread to the rest of your body. I find the portal of using the inner body quite effective. And often I use my hands or I use my feet, and they provide a easy access point for me to step into the present moment. Another portal is the breath, where I think I used the breath meditation on my previous audio. I didn't mention it being a portal or an entryway, because I again tried to keep things quite simple. But if you followed that audio previously, then you've already, I hope, experienced some presence while taking part in that. But again, the breath is simply an entry point to being present, meaning that there is a depth to the present moment. And I have only experienced it deepen a small amount, and I can't really define a small amount, but I feel that I've only experienced the present moment for brief moments of intensity. So when it has deepened, for me it hasn't lasted, and that's fine, that's okay. And you may be in the same position where you may have had glimpses of being present or brief moments of just a intense peace. And for some people, this may be their path to becoming more present. For some people, this may be a rare case, but their present moment may last days or even weeks. And this obviously depends on what's going inside of us in terms of the condition of the mind, the patterns of our thoughts, and how much they are ingrained within us. But for me personally, I've experienced a great peace in brief moments. So perhaps a few hours or maybe half a day or so, I've experienced a lightness, a presence, a time where there has been no thoughts, and it has been effortless to do. One thing that can catch you off guard is that when you have experienced some peace, some presence, some stillness of not thinking, your mind may not remember that, or your mind may not give that experience credibility. Meaning, when you do, or if you do, return to unpleasant thoughts or heavy thinking, you may not be able to remember, or you may be convinced that you can't return to the present moment. These are all simply thoughts of the mind, and I'll go into more detail perhaps on another audio about the mind. And again, this is just from my very small experience from listening to great teachers such as Eckhart and Muji, who talk extensively about the mind. But the mind is very cunning. The mind wants to keep you identified with the thoughts you're having, because that's how the mind will survive. The mind doesn't want to let you go. It wants to pull you into its thoughts for its own survival. And another word for the mind is ego. Okay, my leg is falling asleep, so I'm just going to adjust how I'm sitting. That's better. So, when it comes to the mind, we believe over and over that that's what we are. In every thought we have, there is an identification about that thought. There is a me inside of that thought. We believe those thoughts we have are who we are. And this cannot be understood with the mind. It's only when you experience the present moment, experience a time of no thinking, that we understand, or that we experience our true selves. Because even talking about it now, my mind feels confused. My mind is saying, what are you talking about? What peace are you talking about? There is just you here, you and your thoughts. So one thing I recommend when embracing some of these pointers during your journey is to not try and figure things out with the mind. Now, this may be quite difficult because this is how the mind works. It questions, it analyzes, it tries and makes sense of things. So this is almost a instinctual habit. So perhaps the first step is to become aware of this. Now, there are ways of using the mind to help, but for the time being, I recommend simply not trying to figure things out at the moment, but simply experiencing. Because by experiencing, it wipes away all questions, all doubts, all beliefs. Because this present moment, you being here right now, is not a belief, it's an experience. And often we can get caught up in just being satisfied with a belief, or the mind often may trick you into thinking you are present when really it is just simply a thought that you are present. So this may sound a bit strange, so I may take a step back, because I'm quite aware that talking about the present moment can often bring confusion. It can often take you away from what I am trying to point you towards. So I'm just being a little bit aware of that. So perhaps what we can do now is another exercise to invite presence. And this exercise I recently heard on a guided meditation from Muji, and I will include the link to this video below in the description. Okay, so right now I want you to just simply be aware of your senses, of your vision, your hearing, if you can feel the air, there's any sense in the air. And just notice that the senses are functioning naturally and effortlessly. Nothing needs to be done for the senses to function. So just be aware of the senses doing what they're designed to do. And also be aware of your body. I often find the pointer of you have just been given this body quite useful, because it allows me just to be aware of my entire body, and it reminds me that I am not this body. So just become aware of where you're sitting or standing, and just become aware of the presence inside of you, that you are here, that you are experiencing this moment. You may be able to hear some cars passing by in the background. If there are any noises where you are, just be aware of them. There's no need to label or comment or interpret the sounds. Just simply allow the sounds to wash over you. And if you like, as well as being aware of your body and aware of your senses, you can also invite awareness into the breath as well. How does this feel? What is this experience you are having, where your awareness is simply on what is right now, on the voice you are hearing, the senses you are perceiving, even the thoughts that may be appearing and disappearing in your perception. What is the sensation of being in your body this very moment? Okay. I won't go too much further with some of these pointers because I would like you to instead watch the guided meditation with Muji, who I believe will be more effective in bringing this present moment to you. I thought I would just give you a taste of his guided meditation. But let me know in the comments if of your experience of what we have gone through today. And even after this audio has finished, perhaps I invite you to take some moments throughout your day to use these portals of your inner body, of your breath, of your senses, and invite some presence into your day as well. Again, I am in disbelief that this has been going on for 30 minutes. Again, this feels like it's only been a few minutes, and I take that as a good sign, because part of being present is that time disappears as well. So I think I'm going to wrap up this audio because, again, I want to keep things simple and I don't want to overwhelm you in regards to what we have been discussing today. And if you would like me to make some longer meditations, let me know, and perhaps we can do some longer meditations together. So again, just to summarize, today we have talked about some entry points into being present, entry points into being in our natural state, which transcends the mind, a space of no thinking. And I would like to thank you for joining me, and I'm doing my best not to judge the content I am creating right now. My main purpose is just to be present while I create this content and just trust in that. And accept what has been created today. A quick note also is that I do write poetry, and you can find that on my Instagram account, and that link should be in the description as well. So please feel free to have a read, and the poetry I write is based on present moment awareness, And of course, there may be some poetry about me, the person, as well. Thank you again for joining me, and we will meet again soon.